Okay, so we have to elect officers.
On item number 3, because we have a quorum, right? I should it have said 24, 25 board of
Oh, it
directors?
sure should have been 24, 25 board members. So do we have a nomination for a chairman or a volunteer for a chairman?
I'll volunteer.
Y'all okay with that? That's okay. Vice chairman?
I'll volunteer.
Okay. And then we need a secretary.
I can do it.
Okay. So y'all are all in agreement with officers?
David? Yes?
Yes, I'm in agreement.
Okay. You can take over now.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is public comments. I believe we have 2 members of the public here. Are they required to sign up, Johnette, or do they just volunteer?
Yeah,
Okay.
we just kind of acknowledge that they're here unless there's anything they want to say.
Hi.
You brought your
Okay.
representation, huh? How are you?
All right, item number 6, approval of November 14 Board of Director meeting minutes. I had a question about them.
Okay.
Mamie was the secretary, but she was not present. Are they taken by someone else?
Yes,
And-
that's, we have a recording secretary.
Okay, all right. Okay.
We're required to nominate those positions or those positions are required to be on the board, but we don't have that secretary to take the minutes or anything. We do that.
Okay.
And then we do the agendas
Good job, Cindy.
and all that stuff also on your
Okay.
behalf.
Okay, that's wonderful, thank you. I had questions on the minutes from the last meeting, but I think that because they're actually substantive questions, I'll leave them until we get to the items on the agenda. And
Okay.
we'll bring up and talk about them. I
Okay.
just didn't understand from what was written,
Well,
what
and
it
you know,
meant.
it's one of those things that's kind of, they're approved at the next meeting, but y'all weren't there, so you don't really, it's hard for y'all to, approve.
But I'll take a motion to approve the minutes,
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
since you were there.
Yes, ma'am, since I was there.
Okay,
And I'll second it.
okay, great. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The financial report. Will you explain it to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
So the top portion of it is, the income is each taxing entity pays into percentage of our budget based on their percentage of levy as a whole, with all 24 districts. So they have, each quarter they make payments. So this is showing they have all paid through the end of December.
Okay.
And then the bottom portion are, of course, our expenses to operate the appraisal district.
Okay. And how are the expenses to operate allocated to each of the taxing authorities?
It's the budget as a whole. They pay us on the total, the percentage, and then we break it down as we had paid throughout the year. So they don't pay into each section, they just pay on the budget as a whole.
Okay. Is there a percentage, say for example, one of the taxing authorities gathers fewer taxes, do they contribute less to the budget? Is it a percentage contribution?
Yes, it's based on, you take the total levy of all districts added together, and their portion of that total levy is the same percentage of budget they pay.
Okay.
So their percentage of total levy throughout all the entities is the same.
Okay.
So like the smaller districts will pay less into the budget than the
Okay.
bigger districts.
Got it. The $6,000 number that's over budget in the far right-hand column, it seemed to me we should have had dollars that added up to the 6,000. It took me a minute to find where the $6,000 came from.
Those are, that come into, okay, so how do I explain that? Most of it's miscellaneous income,
Okay.
which are like maps that we've sold and copies that we've sold here. We don't put them back into supplies or back into a budget item. Our auditor just had them do it as miscellaneous income, so, and it's not tied to any expenses. And then the same thing with the interest that we earn, that's not tied to any budget items. So our income is gonna end up more than what our budgeted income was based on having those two line items.
Got it. Okay. And in the bottom, I noticed that there were two line items that were significantly over the budget.
Board of Review and Computer
Yes.
Science.
Yeah.
Yes, we had a whole lot more hearings this year with the Appraisal Review Board than were anticipated.
Okay.
We usually have hearings for maybe 2 months, and we ended up with 4 months of hearings. So we had to bring the board in for a lot more hearings. And the bad thing is, we have that many hearings scheduled, but we have a lot of percentage of the people that don't show up for the hearings, but we still have to pay them to be here. They have to be here all day long. And even, if they don't show up, they're still paid for the full day. It's not, based
No,
on how
right.
much. And we can't tell them to not come because we have scheduled appointments, and if someone does happen to show up and they're not here. So that's what, we run into a lot of issues with that. We probably have about 40% that actually show up to their hearings. But they're here, yeah,
Okay.
because they have protested, they have been given an appointment, so we have to anticipate that they will show up. And then there's times that they'll sit here for a couple of hours with no one showing up, but they still have to sit here and wait because we have scheduled hearings.
Okay.
And so that's why
Interesting.
we went over so much, because of the amount, because we sent out more notices than we had more protests than we've had in the past, therefore we had more hearings.
Sure.
And then the computer service, we ended up, we had to replace a server that we hadn't anticipated we would have to replace, and so that went over on that.
Okay. That's all I had.
Anything else we should be concerned about, Johnette?
Well, this is our end of year for 23. We ended up, with, where did it go? It's back here. With 114,000 that did not get spent in the budget.
Yeah.
So we will need to designate that, which is the next line item on there. It has to be designated to future projects or something of that. What we've done in the past, when we're trying to get a building built, we've designated a percentage of it for the building and then a percentage of it for like future software upgrades that we don't anticipate, servers that we don't anticipate, so that we've got money set aside in the event that we've got money that we didn't anticipate spending, we still have it to be able to spend if we fall short on the budget.
Or what about for the Board of Review? Can we designate some of that to that for this
For
next
the-
year?
For their salary.
Into the
For-
24 budget.
Yeah, anticipating that we'll have people
Yeah.
wanting to protest and not show up and, you know,
Since there was a $37,000 overage.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the most expensive line item.
Right.
And we all know that that's probably gonna be the same case this next year.
Yeah, I don't see it, not.
Yeah, so.
Or
you
is
know.
that handled in the budget?
Well,
that
it
we
kind of
set for
is.
September?
Because the 24 budget has already been set. So there's a possibility we already are gonna be short for 24 because we based it on what we had spent in the year before. Because we didn't know we were gonna be over at that time.
Right.
We don't have the 24 budget before us,
No,
okay? Do we need that before we decide how much more to allocate to the Board of Review?
I can print it out if you want.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and approve the financial report though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay.
A motion to approve,
I so move.
okay? Second?
A second.
Cindy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Designation of excess funds.
Yeah, I definitely think the highest line item should be a priority, especially with, taxes going up and up. I think that's gonna be,
Well, the more people moving into the county,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna protest.
so I think last year's issue is definitely gonna be this year's issue as well.
So for 24, we budgeted 45,000.
For,
Border review,
And
So it's-
Total or
total,
extra?
total.
and we spent 67.
So we're 22, we'll be 22,000 short if we spend the same amount.
I bet you spend more.
I agree.
So what about, remember the last issue we had, and it's in our minutes from last time, was the GIS maintenance contract. And there was additional charges based on the number of hours that we hadn't looked at. Did you find out answers to that?
That was, one company hadn't, and we went with the other company that had addressed the hours. So we went with the $45,000 contract on the GIS.
Okay.
Instead of the 19,000 or whatever, because the fact that they did not tell us how much it was gonna cost for each item on the GIS. We
Right.
went with the one that gave us a budgeted amount as a whole.
Okay.
So we should be okay with
With that, okay.
that. Mhm.
And the motion was to not exceed 50,000. So
Right.
we should be okay, right? Okay. I did not know what GIS stood for, and I looked for it in the policy, and I only saw GIS as an acronym.
It's Geographic Information System,
Okay.
which is basically our mapping,
Okay, okay.
our aerial mapping, and parcel map and that, those things.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so do we have a proposal of how much of the 114 needs to go to increase the budget for Board of Review?
You estimated it was,
It was 67 and we budgeted 45.
so we should go ahead and do at least 25.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do we think, but we have 114. My thought is we should do even more than 25. 30? Is that enough?
It
we're
is one of
saying
those things, it is just
100,000?
hard to say,
No, it
because
would
we
be,
don't know.
Well, we can
it's
do that.
45 plus 30 would be 75,000. We spent 67
Oh,
last
okay.
year.
I mean, I think that would be sufficient. And back to your comment about, what have we been doing with the extra money as far as the building fund and stuff goes? Because,
Designated part to the building and then part of it towards hardware and software upgrades.
okay. So, do y'all know that we're trying to acquire some land
I
and,
read it. I
Okay.
don't know anything about it.
and Mr. Hart, he was really good at explaining this, but as a district, we can't go out and like borrow money from a bank to get that done.
You
And
said
so,
with unsecured funds, is that the way he worded it?
yeah, some unsecured funds. So, what have we been kicking in there every year? Do you know?
Last year we did 100.
Yeah, I think it'd be, if we're gonna try to get that project done, I think it'd be prudent to keep, kicking some money in there if we can. And then, obviously we wanna cover our budget items.
How much money is in there total?
We have 500,000 right now in there for the building fund.
And is there a projected cost on the building?
No, because we haven't got that far yet.
Okay,
Yeah, we're still trying to acquire the land.
Trying to at least get land and then.
right.
So if we
Because when
put,
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, if we kick 45,000 in there to cover the board of review, where does that leave us?
No, it's just 30 for the Board of Review. We already have 45.
Oh, we have 45 in there, okay,
Well,
so if we
be
kick
adding
30 in there.
So it'd be
80.
114 minus 30.
It'd be 84.
Yeah, so then we could put the rest towards,
The acquisition of a.
yeah.
Well, do we need to kick some more in there?
Construction of a building,
Do we need
right?
to kick some more in there to
Right
cover
now, it's
your,
just acquisition of land.
you had a server issue, which is a big ticket item that,
Yep,
That was 20,000 for it.
28.
yeah, and how,
That's what
when's the
we
last
went
time that
over.
happened?
Yeah.
In 17.
Okay, So we should be,
okay with
should
that
be good.
for-
Do you just have one server?
Okay,
Okay, and now it's 1 year old. Okay,
so that shouldn't be, yeah,
too terrible.
Right.
okay.
Did we buy a maintenance contract? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, yeah,
But we can also amend the budget partway
If
through
it
the
looks,
year?
yeah, if it looks like we're gonna be short, we can always amend it and then have to, go back to the entities to get it approved and that stuff. But we do have that choice. If something happens that we're short somewhere else, or total, overall. A lot of times we end up, like you saw, where we have a lot of minuses in there where we're under budget.
Right,
And so then those kind of,
you did a great job of managing the budget with
and
all of
then,
those.
because total, overall, we're under, we just had those two line items that we went over.
Yeah.
So we weren't in a position to have to amend it.
So do we need a motion on, or this just
We
discussion?
do need a motion.
So are y'all good?
Designate excess funds.
If we kick 45,000 in, isn't that what we said? To cover the,
30.
kick 30,000 in to cover the board review, and that would leave us with another,
84. Right.
yeah, 84,000 to the building fund. Is that sound out of line to anybody?
No?
Okay,
You wanna make the motion? You'll so move?
I so move, if you got it written down there.
Yeah. Second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Agricultural Advisory Board. What do we
Okay.
need to do on that?
We have 5 members total, and they are staggered terms. So this year, we have 3 that are up for reappointment. One of them was Hilton Stinson, and we never heard back from him, so we replaced him with Jim Mullins, and then Russell Roberson from Divine. Jim Mullins is from Castroville. Russell Roberson is from Divine, and he said he would stay on. And then Vince Gillum from Hondo was the other member that was up, and he said he would stay on. So I just need basically we've got the 3 that are up. Basically, your blessing to leave them on the Ag Advisory Board.
So you only have 3 members, or we have 5 members?
Right, the other 2 are not up yet, because they have
Oh.
staggered terms. They'll be
Okay.
next year.
Okay. So we only need to appoint Jim Mullins, Russell Roberson, and Vince Gillen. And they've all agreed to serve,
Yes.
okay? Motion
Motion,
to appoint these 3 to the advisory board.
yes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I didn't get those names written down.
Jim Mullins, Russell Roberson, and Vince Gillum. Jim Mullins from Castroville, Russell Roberson's from Divine, Vince Gillum's from Hondo. What are the names of the other 2?
The other 2.
Scott Soto
Yeah, go ahead.
and
Jacob Swears.
Jacob Swears. They're both from Hondo.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Board of Director policy.
Basically, everything's the same from what was approved previously. I do need you each to sign. Let's see, where's it?
Declaration of eligibility.
Yes, I made a copy for each of you.
Okay.
Let's find my copy.
There's the 6:30. I knew I'd seen it somewhere.
Is this our job description?
Sort of.
In here?
No, you're swearing you don't have any past due taxes.
This is just kind of, yeah.
I don't know, I might.
The one thing that we may want to address, we were kind of talking about it previously, that we had been meeting every other month, and it's listed in here somewhere.
It's paragraph G. Under,
There it is, on page 6.
Yeah.
That we would meet every other month on the 3rd Tuesday at 6:30. You're required to meet quarterly. So I was saying, y'all can either go back to quarterly, And then if we wanna pick a different time and date, we can do that also, whatever works for y'all.
We were talking about possibly meeting at 4 o'clock instead of.
Would earlier work for you with your kids having
Oh, yeah.
activities? So, I mean, we can always do that where we can meet here even if we've got things going on in the office.
That works for me. Does that work for y'all?
And
Yes.
it's 4 o'clock, a good time if you're traveling.
I mean, I don't have like any great, but I mean, 4 o'clock is, for me, 4 o'clock is definitely better than right now.
Yeah.
Because,
Well, they were kind of all in this agreement with that too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Will we get paid if it's at 4 o'clock? I'm joking.
They will, not us.
No, that's
Sure,
fine.
you'll
That's,
get a raise from
that's-
what
yeah.
you're getting right
Okay,
now.
perfect.
Well, double
Double
your pay,
it.
how about that?
Perfect answer.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so do y'all want to continue every other month? Do you want to go to quarterly?
Because I'm new, I would like every other month,
Okay.
even if halfway through the year we decide we don't need to meet
And we
as
can
often
always,
as
like,
that.
if we end up, there's really not anything that we have in 2 months, we can always, as long as
we've
you
met
meet
in a
one
quarter.
time each quarter, the state it satisfies the state's requirement,
Are
so,
we okay with that going forward?
That's,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, so we'll need to change the wording
Mm-hmm.
on paragraph 6.
Do you wanna continue on the third Tuesday or second Tuesday, or does it make a difference?
3rd is fine with me, I don't care.
I don't care
That's-
either.
I'm good either way.
Yeah, 30 fine then.
At 4 o'clock,
So then March would be.
spring break.
Oh,
That will be
you were
just
ready for
about
that.
right.
You were so ready for that.
So March 19th is what would be the third Tuesday in March.
So I do care. Oh, wow.
And if something, it ends up at that point when we get ready to schedule it, that does not work, we can meet, you know.
When
Change.
is spring break?
I
For
don't know.
Medina
I-
County, basically.
Don't know
Second,
yet.
the second week in
Is it the second
March,
week?
I
So
think.
so
Oh.
then the third would work better.
Okay, then that's
Okay,
fine.
so then the next meeting, which would answer us, or be our thing at the bottom, March 19th at 4 o'clock.
Okay,
So I'll make that change, and then if y'all will sign those
we
declarations.
will sign those. I'm gonna call you, I'm not gonna go through this
Okay.
tonight, but I've read the whole thing and I've got just a few ticky dot changes.
Okay,
No big deal. Like
Okay.
appraisal
Well,
to
since you-
appraiser and stuff like that.
okay, oh, okay. And then I had an amendment that I did not send to y'all, that it's procedures for us reviewing the work of contracted appraisal services and their procedures. I can send them to y'all and we can approve them in March. I was getting them approved in case that's part of, we're gonna have a methods and and procedures audit done on the 24th. And I just wanted to make sure we had this in place before he came in,
See, it's 24th of March.
January.
Oh, he's coming
Like
the
in 2
24th of
weeks.
January. Okay. So we need to approve that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's read it.
I'll make some copies real quick, it's several pages.
Oh, you can read it too.
Print them out.
You wanna read it to us?
No, but I'll read it.
Okay.
But I'll read it to you if you want me to.
That'd be great.
Okay, procedure for reviewing work performed by contracted appraisal services. Establish continual contract between the appraisal district and the contracted company. Ensure full understanding and confidence by all parties in the system being contractually created. The appraisal district establishes a plan for knowing if the contractor is meeting the various statutory and contractual deadlines for deliverables and timely completion of the contracted services. This plan must gauge whether the appraisal firm is following generally accepted appraisal practice and the USPAP to the extent possible in the determination of value. The appraisal district will ensure that the appraisal firm being contracted must have a set of written procedures to follow when determining values. Steps for reviewing, verifying, evaluating contractors' appraisal procedures. Verify the scope of work per contractual terms, type of value desired, as of date, perspective taken by appraiser, and other areas of contractor versus CAD responsibility. Now, do you want to read it yourself?
Yes,
Since
ma'am.
everybody has one?
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's basically procedures for us to follow up on any contracted service we have, that we make sure that they're doing the work and doing it according to what their contract says.
Who drafts the contract and reviews it?
The people we contract with, we have Pritchard and Abbott, which does our industrial property and minerals, and then we have Eagle Appraisal that does our commercial and apartment complexes. And so we have separate contracts. They draw them up, and then y'all will approve them when they are up for renewal, which would be probably October, November,
Okay. So we're still in a contract with them.
right now, that we signed.
Okay.
It's just
Where did you
something
get these? Did we
This-
draft them?
we kind of borrowed from other districts.
John, does everything in here make sense? I mean, you wouldn't add or delete anything
That's
out of
pretty
here?
much what we do, is follow and make sure that they,
This is what you gotta show to the state.
Right.
Basically, is your, standard operating procedure for,
for any contracted services we have.
Okay.
okay. Oh, here's another page.
And you're gonna give this to the contractors before they come in on the 24th? Okay. A motion to approve? Cindy will move.
I'll move for approval of the motion.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Are we considering this part of our board policy?
Yes, it's like an addendum to it.
Okay.
So they both have to be signed by the chairman and secretary.
Okay.
Just one copy, I'm guessing, right?
Right, just one
Okay.
copy, yeah. And then if you'll sign the back of this other policy too, you can make, sign this one.
Yeah, I better not sign mine, I wrote on it.
Do we have a copy of our disaster plan?
Yes, it's in your folder.
I say I had sent it. And the only change we really need to make on it is the phone tree, because we've got new board members. Other than that, it's the same one that we've had in place since we had drafted the original one.
So on the first page, would be page 4. It says that in 2010, the census was 46,000. Could we update that to 2020?
Yeah, we probably need to put 20, because it's 50. In 20, it was,
Okay.
2020, I think, was 51,000. So I didn't even catch that.
On page 8, in paragraph Roman number 4, we say that everything is covered, including an accidental missile launch. Can we take out the word accidental? What if it's I mean, would it make a difference if it's intended?
I don't know if I would say it probably doesn't make, I mean, we could, just missed a launch.
You better leave it in. What happens if an accidental one happens and we don't have that in there?
Well,
Yeah.
if it's accidental,
I
it's
mean, I
still
don't
a
care.
missile
I don't care who
launch,
pulls the
right?
trigger.
Yeah,
But if the term is not there, you're right, Jody.
Yeah,
Just amend, I'm hoping we don't have to worry about
Yeah.
that.
I know,
Plain words here.
But I can
But-
take that out, cause then it's covered if it's accidental or on purpose, I guess.
yeah, I guess so, yeah, if you take it out, then both would be covered,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
This is just me not knowing, but on page 9, at the top, paragraph B, responsibility chief appraiser, it just says, EOC, county judge and mayor. I'm assuming that's Mayor of Hondo,
Yes.
or should it be the mayors of all our cities?
I guess it would. On our tree, it is just the mayor of Hondo, because they're looking at if there's a disaster within the
In
appraisal
this-
district office.
Got it, okay, thank you. On page 10, paragraph B says Tyler Technologies, is that your current?
No, we've replaced that with Harris Govern. So everywhere that says Tyler would be Harris Govern.
Okay,
They're not in Plano, Texas either, are they?
They are actually in Allen now.
Harrison's.
Yeah.
anything else? I'm gonna skip to 12, and it's just a typo, it's not that big of a deal, but it's, paragraph C under bomb threat should have been threat
tree.
instead of tree.
I saw that as soon as you said that.
Okay, that's all I had. Other than the phone list you mentioned.
Yeah, I had them.
I'll have to get y'all's phone numbers.
I have another one of these here.
And so then it would go,
You want my phone number now?
sure. And then Kyla. Cindy. I have Jody's. Oh, yours was on here. And then I'll put Mamie's. Move hers down. And that fixes that.
For Cindy.
You don't, being that we don't have a GIS person anymore.
Chief appraiser and
Number one.
GIS operator.
She might need to send that.
Is that covered, I'm sorry?
You need to sign that, I believe.
But hold on till we vote on it, just a second.
Where is it?
It's at the bottom of 13.
Yeah, I will.
How is that being that there would be producing a map? Is that something that's a new?
Well, I guess we'd have to get with, I don't know how that would work with the contractor.
Yeah, that's,
That would, we would maybe then need to get with, Mr. Rhodey with 911, because they would have maps. That would be up-to-date maps, so we possibly would need to, I would have to get with, Mr. Rhodey on that to get maps. I mean, we would have ours up-to-date, but it'd be, he could probably get them printed and everything quicker than us trying to get Harris Govern to do it, if we needed printed maps.
okay, so the way it's worded, would Mr. Rhodey be the GIS
Yeah,
operator?
he would, we probably would need to put the 911 executive director.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to make these changes to the disaster recovery plan?
We gotta use your copy there.
We can use my copy.
Okay. Madam President, I move that we change the what's it called, disaster recovery plan. Disaster recovery plan, as noted in your copy there.
Second?
I second the motion to the changes of the disaster recovery plan.
All in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. The land on Austin Avenue. How much is it? What is it for?
Okay, so right now, what we've been working on, there is a 2-acre parcel that is located on Austin Avenue, which is out on the air base area behind Health and Human Services building. We had been looking at it, we had talked to the city about it. The process would be is it has to go through a bid process. And the city's willing to kind of work with us on that to where we would win the bid, basically. But it does have to, in order for it to not, and correct me if I'm wrong, in order for it to not revert back to the city, in the event that we decide we have to move or sell it or whatever, the way my understanding was that with purchasing from the city, that it would have to go back to them in the event that we sold it. We couldn't just sell it to anyone.
So there'd be
So
a
if we
deed
send
restriction
it-
in it.
Right. So if it went out for bid, then that eliminates that, where it opens it up where we can sell to anyone in the event that we ever had to down the road if we needed a bigger location or whatever circumstances would be. So that's where we're at right now, is getting ready to let the city open that up for bids. And so in order to do that, we have to pass a resolution. And the entities that are the voting entities, which is the county, cities, and school, have to pass a resolution giving us the okay to do it.
Okay.
And they have to do that within 30 days of when we adopt our resolution. What we have done previously, when we actually had a building that we were purchasing, I think the board of director, y'all had gone to the entities, right? And
I was
informed
not
them?
part of this board at that time, but yeah,
Oh,
they had to go
So
out.
we've been doing it that long?
Yeah. So they had to go out to each one of the different entities and basically plead our case. You know, this is what we're doing, this is why, and get their blessing on it.
To spend the money from their taxing authority.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay.
So
Even though we have the cash to buy it, we still have to have their permission to spend that cash that we have designated for the building and land.
Okay.
Towards the end of the year, I thought we were gonna have a special meeting concerning that. There was some email correspondence, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but can you refresh my memory on that?
Don't remember.
We'll have to be on the agendas for each of those taxing authorities. So
Yeah,
we need to get
yeah,
on the agendas so that they could then take a vote in their meetings within
Right.
this 30-day period, right?
right.
And what is the time frame? Is the city waiting on us to say we're ready for it to
yes.
go out for bid?
Yes, because then they're set with, they have to limit their time frame on their bidding process.
Okay, and then, so do we have to go to the authorities first, or can we, because I don't wanna, if we go spend all that time and then we don't win the bid for whatever reason, that was all for naught, so can we win the bid with I guess a stipulation there that once we do win it, we have the ability to go out and seek approval from everybody? No?
Do we even know that all three of those authorities have meetings within those 30 days?
3, and
They
it's
should.
No, there's,
When
it's
they're
like all the,
15 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all schools, all cities, and the
Okay.
county, so it's all.
Yeah,
So-
you can't- I mean, it's a
Yeah,
bunch.
right, yeah.
Well, it's not all of them. It's the county, City of Castro, City of Hondo, City of Divine, City of Lytle, City of Natalia. None of the ESDs and none of the special districts. So there's 8 schools, 5 cities, and so there's 14 entities that we
Yeah.
have to have approval for. And it has to be 3/4 of them.
are we waiting on the city or are they waiting on us?
Kind of both. We're waiting on them and they're waiting on us.
So we need to make a plan.
Who at the city's managing it?
The
City manager.
And you've been talking to the city manager?
He actually came to our last meeting
Right.
and talked to the board.
Okay.
John Narron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were trying to run at it a different way to where it didn't have to go out for competitive bid. And they thought they had a plan that was going to work, but then Johnette, excuse me, kind of explained some of that, and we figured out that that was not going to work, so it does need to go out for a competitive bid. So I guess if we're going to move forward on it, we need to.
And they're trying to
Develop
help
a-
it as much
Yeah.
as they can to where we do win the bid. So,
That sounds a little dangerous to me.
Yeah. Is that because it's with the city? Or would that be the case with any property?
We approached them to buy the property. It was not for sale. They
Right.
just had some, they've got property out on the airbase that they own. So whenever we approached them, they started working with us to try to get it done because, they want to sell it to us and we want to buy it from them. But there's all the legal avenues that have to,
yeah, because he thought he could do it as chapter 381?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I read that.
And then
He can't.
He can't. When he talked to his attorney,
They said no.
they said no.
Okay.
So in years past, whenever the board went out to seek approval from all the entities, how did they do that? We
I
just,
think Tim went and visited with quite a few of them himself.
That's what I was
He
thinking.
would just sit down with either the superintendent or city manager, and then then they in turn presented it to their governing body.
so could you put together a packet for us so we all have the same information to basically, and then maybe at the next meeting we can divvy up I guess the different entities amongst us, and then I guess set a timeline for each one of us to contact them
Have
and try to
meetings with
get on their agenda.
Yep.
And then we have
I think we need to have a meeting with the head of the taxing authority, like you said, the superintendent, and then go back to their actual.
To
Sure.
the actual-
Open
when
meeting.
when it's up on, at their meeting itself, if possible.
Yeah.
Cause I know several of the schools meet the same
Monday
night.
night,
Mm-hmm. I wanna say 3 or 4 of them meet
Well,
the
we'll
third
have to-
Monday of,
divide it up.
yeah, so what if you get something together for us that has all the entities, and then the timelines that you just spoke of?
and I wanna say we had something, I'll have to get with Tim, cause I wanna say we had something kinda like that put together that he took.
Okay.
I'd
So-
like to see why we need a larger space, documented, you've got people on top of each other in this office, or, I'm not familiar enough with it.
Well, and part of it
but-
is we pay rent. And so
Okay.
we would like to be able to
Own it.
own something to where in the future, when I'm long gone,
Yeah.
another chief appraiser has to get another building, then they've got then equity to go towards the next. It's just basically getting us started to where we own our own piece of property.
Yeah, and so, obviously the county is gonna continue to grow, which
Yes.
I would expect
Oh, yeah.
this staff to continue to grow.
Yes.
And the building we're in right now, I mean, we don't own it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for us to improve it,
Right.
right?
No, right.
And it's kind of it's not a real secure situation from a lease standpoint, right?
Right.
Well, looking forward, the tax office is fixing to move into the old community bank,
Yeah,
probably within the next 18 months. And if the county decides, hey, we don't need that building anymore, let's tear it down, let's make parking lot, then there we are.
Okay.
I mean, we have Atascosa County right now, they're all working from home because they got black mold in their building. They don't even have an office over there.
right.
That's why I was wondering why did y'all pick that specific piece of property, like that's owned by the city? Like, are there not other options that aren't owned by the city to where you're not having to go the specific route through the city
There's
with
not a whole
going
lot
open
in the
for
city
food?
that's available that's, cause like I even looked at, cause, Capital Farm Credit's fixing to build. So I
Right.
looked at theirs, well, they're less than what we've got right
Yeah.
now.
You know, that spot out there for the price point on it, and then, you know, it's not like we need frontage, really. You know, an appraisal district complex would fit out there, we thought. And we can buy enough out there and build a building in a way. We're just talking about putting up like a big kind of a metal building type deal. What's the building right next to it that we were,
That
the
Health and
huge,
Human
yeah.
Services.
So we were gonna kind of mimic that, and I think if we did it right with our building, it would give us the capability to add on to that thing pretty easily if we needed to down the road to expand. And so the utilities are there. There's room for parking. Not like we need a ton of parking, but it just kind of made sense to us on the board at the time, and that's why we approached the city and started going after them on it.
Would we plan for the appraisal review board hearings to be in the building, or are they held in a different place?
We have them right here, right now.
Okay, I went to a different location when I,
We,
But-
at that point,
That was COVID, wasn't it?
yeah,
Couple
one year
of
we did,
years, yeah.
did you go to the hospital
Uh-huh,
room? Okay,
uh-huh.
yeah. We had tried off-site. It worked really good in 2020 because we had, you know, COVID and everything, and we had the building that was vacant and it was close proximity. Having it over that far was,
not,
it
did
didn't
not
work
work
out.
well.
The logistics of it. Yeah, the logistics here was a block away, it was easy, no big deal, but being across town like that,
Too much.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to have the hearings in your building where you are, and have the maps, have the information, sure.
Did they say anything else about any other deed restrictions?
no, that was really the only thing, was that it would have to revert back to the city.
If we don't go, if
If-
they don't go out
If
for
it doesn't go out for
competitive.
bid, right.
I'll call the city manager, I would like to know what their process is,
Okay,
just to see what the timelines are, what they
Okay.
have to go through. So I think at this point, we put it back on the agenda for next time, and not take any action tonight.
And Tim already got approval from 3 banks.
Because we need to make sure enough of these, when we do take action, are having
us.
that are having their meeting, even just having
Right.
meetings. You
Okay.
know, majority of them, like you said, even if they agree with us, or enough of them even meeting to be able to
Need the city timelines.
approve, to make the 30 days. Because if they're not, if we don't even have enough of them meeting, then we have to wait till the timing's right.
we have to have approval by 11 entities.
Okay.
11, okay.
Yeah, 3/4 of 14. Okay.
And we need to find out how often they meet. Do they meet every month, every other
I think
month?
they pretty much meet every month. You can find that out. And I wanna say the city, I think, meets more than once a month.
Bet they do.
I think the schools are
Castroville
once a
meets
month.
twice a month.
Do we have to approach all of them?
No, 11.
Because
Only
like
14
Northside
are-
ISD, they're in there, right?
You said 14 on the list. We have
Right.
to get their approval.
Of
And
the
she's gonna
14,
give
we
us
have
a
to get
list.
11.
She's gonna give us a list of the 14. I wasn't quite sure exactly which ones they all are.
Okay.
It's all 8 of the schools.
Okay.
And then I think there's 5 cities, 6 cities, maybe it's 6 cities. City of Lytle, City of Castro, City of Divine, City of Hondo,
That's all.
City of LaCoste, City and Texas, there's 6. So that's more, that's 15 then.
Goodness.
So we still need 11.
So we don't have to have the hospital district or the water district or the
Or any of
emergency
the
special
ESDs,
districts.
right.
Okay. We do have to do Northside.
Right.
Okay.
Northside Utopia.
Okay. Okay.
And we can find out when all of them meet, and I'll try to get with Tim and see if he can remember what exactly we all put together for when he made, like I said, he did most of the visiting
Good.
at that
Okay.
point.
And-
And he has said that he's willing to help us
Good.
because he's kind of, he's
He's
got quite a
invested
bit
in it?
invested in it. yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been going on for a while.
How big is the piece of property?
2 acres.
2 acres?
And the price that they have given us is, well, they had it appraised and it was appraised at 70,000.
All right.
So we were gonna pay the 70,000 for the 2 acres. And they're still locked in at that price.
And it needs to be within the city limits?
No, we just,
Okay.
that's just where had been looking. It's one of those things, people are gonna come find us, really, no matter where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just wanna, I'm
Yeah,
a real estate
yeah.
broker, so
Right,
I just
right.
wanna,
Oh, no, I
in
get it.
case I
get it.
hear
And it's what
something or come across
Initially,
something.
it was the it was Kim Davis, was who we first started working with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And she was the one that suggested out
Right.
on that airbase because
Gotcha.
they had all that land up.
Right,
that's
exactly.
where
And that makes sense. It's just sometimes it's
So that
not.
tells you how long we've been doing it.
Yes, yes, I've worked with Kim before, so, yeah, I understand, just sometimes it's not easy working with the city and some of the
Right.
rules they have to go through, and sometimes
Yes.
as hard as you can. I
Yes.
tried
And I have
doing,
informed the new city manager of that, and he says he's going to work on that, so we'll see how
Yeah.
far that goes.
I had a deal with
Zero
them.
positive.
Yeah, that I tried doing for like 4.5 years, and finally somebody else came in, and I sold to them, and they weren't very happy with me.
Well, I know Chris Schuhart said when they were getting everything going with the annex, it was, working with the city was
Yeah,
not an easy task.
yeah. I was trying to get them to move into where Texas Heritage Title is, for their extra, when they needed extra space, and I worked with them for 4.5 years, and Texas Title came in and they said, well, we want the space, and said, make me an offer, and they did, and I took it, and they weren't very happy with me.
Okay. Chief appraiser report?
We have, like I said, we have that methods and procedures audit that's coming up the 24th. We're in the end of the year, or end of this month, we should get our preliminary findings on our property value study for the school districts. So that comes out January 31st. We're rolling along on inspections and all that stuff for 2024. Kind of following the sales, see where we are market-wise, see what kind of changes we need to make with our schedules, if any. And that's kind of where we're at right now, just going
Mid-year,
along.
getting ready.
Yeah.
How long does the audit on January 24th last?
I'm not sure how long he's gonna be here, he hadn't said. They give me a list of items that they have to look at while he's here, and so, usually it's a day, I don't think it'll be.
Okay.
And then we should know at that point if we've passed everything on it's called a targeted map review that they're doing.
Do they give us a report when they're done?
Yes, and it's basically, it's a pass or fail kind of thing, and if it's yes or no on the questions, whether we had everything they needed or no we didn't. If we don't, a lot of times they'll help us with recommendations to get everything in place. And then just kind of go
Okay.
from there. It's a new map review has been added from the comptroller this year. Cause what we have right now is we get a map review, what they call map review, it's methods and assistance program every other year. So now they've added this one because we had Divine ISD that was out of their confidence interval for 3 years on the property value study. So we had to have this targeted map review, which they're asking for a lot of the same things that they asked for in the previous map review. They just want like 4 years worth of previous data versus 2 years previous data on it.
Okay.
And that's really it. I don't really have anything else. We'll hopefully send out notices in May.
For appraised values to property owners.
Yeah, we'll see how all that goes with the new stuff that's been put in place as far as the cap rates and all that stuff that they put in place.
Okay. Do we have anything in executive session?
Nope, that's just a required item to be on there. I mean, we have had a couple of times we've gone executive session, but most of the time we don't really have anything.
What is deliberations regarding a prospective gift? Okay.
It's required, required wording that's that is supposed to be put on there.
Okay.
Like I said, we haven't had to go into executive session we went in a couple of times for chief appraiser evaluation, but that was it.
Yeah, that all makes sense. I just was like, who would we be giving a gift to?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, okay. Anything else? I think we know the date and time of the next meeting. I think we can be adjourned. Anybody want to move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
7:15, more like 7:14.